In this month's marketing critique, we're going to look at how to improve the pulling power and the effectiveness of a display ad that appears in the telephone book. As you can see, in the lower third of the ad or the lower quarter of the ad, you'll see several references where the company name and the tagline have been protected, all designed to protect the innocent here. Company name protected, tagline protected, phone number protected, website protected, and location protected. But there's a lot of valuable lessons that you can learn from seeing what we're going to do here to rip apart this ad one section by one section and see the elements that are working, see the elements that aren't working, so you can use the same kind of logic to improve either your telephone book display ad or any other display ads that your company does for other types of media that you may want to advertise in, such as newsletters, magazines, newspapers. And again, these should all be very targeted, but I want to go over some of the elements of what makes a good display ad and what makes a bad display ad. First, as you can see, all of the highlighted elements that we're talking about here are circled in red. At the top of the ad, presumably where the headline should go, there really is no headline. Home Computer and Electronic Services is not a headline. It's not their company name either, incidentally, otherwise that would have been scratched out. They intended it, I guess, to be a headline, but it certainly is not a headline. It's barely a feature, and it certainly doesn't promise a benefit. It doesn't promise to solve a particular problem that the prospect would have here. So that's the first huge problem, is that there is no true headline. There's no promise of a benefit or a solution to a problem that a prospect might be having. And I don't want to get too far off track here, but as you go through the Computer Consulting Kit Home Study course, you know that the real money is not going to be made servicing home computers. This particular business is focusing on a niche that's substantially smaller and substantially less profitable than the sweet spot of small business computer consulting that we advocate that most small computer consulting firms target. But that aside, this particular ad, the huge problem is there's no problem, solution, or benefit type of setup offered in the headline, just strictly home computer and electronic services. Really, really bad headline. Number two, you can see down here we have circled that there is bad color contrast, both in the top of the ad up here where it says Home Computer and Electronic Services, and in the bottom of the ad where the phone number has been scratched out and the website's been scratched out. It looks like the company or individual who designed this ad was going for something cute, taking advantage of the fact that this particular phone book allowed for different colors to be in the ad, and they're having, I guess, green highlights in the header and the footer of the ad, and some green highlights in some of these icons and things like that here. The problem is it ended up being some bad color contrast in the top and the bottom of the ad, because it's a dark color on a reasonably dark color. You always want to have dark colors on extremely light colors, and obviously the most contrast that you'll ever have is black and white. That's why you always hear the phrase, it's crystal clear as black and white, and there's nothing that's going to ever be as powerful as seeing black text on a white background. If you're going to do anything with a dark text on any kind of colored background, make sure it's a very, very light colored background. In this particular case, it didn't reproduce terribly bad, but if someone was photocopying this out of the telephone book and faxing it to someone, or if someone was colorblind or had any kind of visual problems or anything like that, there's a good chance some of this might be lost. Why take a chance on any of that when it's so simple to just remember the rule that you always want to make sure that you have very, very high contrast in these type of display ads that you do, or any kind of mailing that you do, like a postcard or something along those lines. Another problem that we see is that there's no clear dominant text in the ad. Nothing really jumps out. The phone number and the URL actually that are scratched out at the bottom here ended up having the largest point size of text of anything in this ad, but that's kind of a mistake too. Yeah, sure, it's great for the phone number to be large so it jumps out at people when they're looking in this kind of competitive situation. When this was a quarter-page ad, so at the minimum there's going to be 3 other companies that are on this page, and it's good for the phone number to be large. But what I really don't like is there's no large dominant headline. There's, like we talked about before in point number 1, there is no headline at all, and there's nothing that's really dominant in terms of text that really jumps off the page at you. This is the ultimate in kind of branding. It's not even branding, because there's really the logo is kind of weak, the tagline is kind of weak in terms of the impression or anything like that. This is the ultimate in like institutional advertising that's almost worthless because it doesn't make a promise. It doesn't promise to solve a problem. It doesn't address many benefits. You'll see as we get further along in this critique, there actually are some benefits that are within the body copy here, but those should have been more of the emphasis as the ad as opposed to buried in the ad. It's kind of like they were taking this approach that if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, some of it might stick. You don't want to do that. Space is very, very expensive when you're running this kind of display ad. You want to make sure that your ad emphasizes the most important points and gets rid of all the other superfluous kind of artistic garbage. A lot of times the problem with people that are designing these ads for you is they're artists and they're trying to create a work of art. Works of art do not get the phone to ring. Works of art do not generate highly qualified leads. They're meant to be cute. Think about if you've ever watched a television commercial that you said, wow, it's a really cool commercial, and you've seen it a dozen times, and you can't remember for the life of you whose TV commercial it is or what their point was. Well, that's kind of what the problem is with this particular display ad, and so often with these kind of display ads is the people that are designing these are often going for a look, a cute kind of artsy look or something like that, especially in this case with the kind of weird justifications and capitalization and formatting and things like that. But the look isn't what's going to...
Do you want more of the best, steady, high-paying computer business clients? Then sign up for free, proven computer business tips now at computerbusinesstips.com. Again, that's computerbusinesstips.com.